This is the rough rag and tag thing that I'm trying to do. And it's quite strange because normally when I do what I do, it's always by myself. And that is probably part of the problem that I'll be telling you about in just a while and why this whole thing happened. So welcome to the channel. This is a brand new channel set up for one task only. And it is, for me, it actually is so that I can defeat myself. I know that I have some skills and I know I have some weaknesses, and the weaknesses are what have been bringing me down. And that has to do a lot with the fact that I can do stuff like break the rules without anyone knowing. And the idea here is that I can not break the rules if I have maybe some possible witnesses. So this is going out live to YouTube. And if you're interested to see how this journey goes, the usual things that we are told to do, like, subscribe, that sort of thing, so that you can know when these things go live as well. I don't even know how the lives get publicized, whether you get told because you're subscribed or not. I have no idea, but let's do this. So trading is difficult, and at the same time, it can be quite easy. The general idea, buy low, sell high, that is something that we've all known. But in practice, of course, it can be quite challenging. And you hear about people who lose lots of stuff. So there was a disclaimer, a set of videos, a set of slides that went by a while ago that talked about disclaimers and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that we're very clear about this. Trading is something that is risky. You can lose your money, not only and not only just the existing money that you have. It can be more than that as well if you have a leveraged account. Now, what is a leveraged account? Well, that's something where with a dollar, if you have a dollar, they let you buy more than $1 worth of equity. And that sometimes can mean that if things go against you, you might lose more than that dollar. So in that sense, that's how you can lose a bit more than you have. And again, this is not financial advice. This is literally something that I'm doing to help myself stay on track with my trading plan. And so let's just get to it and introduce you to what's going on, I guess, around here. Okay, so now this is me, and this is the chart that we'll be looking at here. I'm going to move myself to the side here so you can see what we're dealing with. I am going to be trading only gold, right? So it's gold versus the US dollar for reference. So in terms of what it's usually known as, it's known as XAU USD. XAU is the term for gold, and then USD is in the currency that it's being traded in as well. So I'll try to remove that little thing that's in the way there. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, so XAU USD. And now gold is, well, in its most basic sense, can be traded as a commodity in a physical form. You can actually buy gold bars and that sort of thing. We're not doing that. What we're doing is we are buying what's known as a derivative. So this is paper gold, and in fact, it's not even paper certificates for gold. This is actually just certificates for the price of gold. So we won't get into the complications regarding that, but essentially it's the same thing as the price of gold, right? So that's the one basic thing. So what I'm going to be trading here is based on a number of rules as well. And the rules that I set for myself are, I'm going to try and reduce the amount of time that I'm going to be on screen trading as well. I don't want to be spending as much time as I used to. It got to the point where I was trading just all around the clock. And that also is something that is not particularly healthy. So what I'm trying to do now is kind of put office hours around what I do in terms of trading. So I'm trying to make sure that I am not going to spend my entire life on trading. So what we're doing right now is, and I'm just talking through what I'm going through in my mind as well. The first rule, of course, is going to be about trend. So the idea is we want to trade with the trend. And so currently I'm just going to be making marks along the way as well. and the trend is, I think, pretty clear. It's on the way down. This is what I see so far. We try to go into the higher time frames as well. So making sure that on high time frames, trend is down, trend is down. Let me see the H4. Yeah, that looks like a downtrend as well. By the way, this is quite tough to do, to keep a lookout for comments and stuff like that as well. At this point, nothing to worry about, so which is good. Yeah, I mean, I'll also try to just talk about the thoughts that went through my mind or are going through my mind as this is happening. And I think one of the thoughts, of course, that you might have or anyone might have is, why do this way? It's frankly the only way I know that I can try to control myself. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Control meaning that I have an ability to not worry what people think to a great extent. Now that's both a good and bad thing. It's a good thing when you go through life and you don't worry about what people are thinking about you, I guess, just from a mental perspective. But it's also something that is kind of what's useful in society when people do worry about what people think of them, so that you can actually behave in appropriate ways. And I think I have a pretty low score in terms of how much I care about what people think, and at least in a regular way. And that's partly because I think I've been doing this media thing for too long. I've been working on radio for, I think, 25 years worth of it. And in that process, because the life has been so public, there's been little to worry about or think about in terms of what I want to do, right? So that's why when I don't, that's why when it comes to accountability, a small group of people doesn't feel like a lot. But if I can amplify that, I'm thinking and I'm hoping that this is going to work as well. Okay, so let's get back to this situation right now. So rule number one is the trend's going down, and so we're looking for opportunities, as far as I'm concerned, to go down. Rule number two is that we need to be trading off of what we call significant levels. Significant levels are those levels where the price has significantly changed in direction. And you can see this yellow line that I put in here. That is what I term to be what looks like a significant level. And I'm checking this on the 15s as well. A few things are happening here. There is, first of all, the lower highs, right, as they're coming down, so that confirms the trend down. There is a bit of traffic of a push up in the opposite direction here. You can see that the market's pushing up, but right now I'm seeing that it's coming back to the same line where there's been lots of changes in price before, and then recently has been confirmed as well. It looks like it's confirmed. And we're going to have a look and see just exactly what's going on here, because it has not just bounced and gone down. So while I'm looking for the opportunity for a sell, I don't seem to have a clear entry for a sell. The other part of this process of trying to trade $100 to $1 million is that it's going to take a lot of precision. And it's precision plus, of course, money management. So we'll talk about precision first of all. And precision is about being very choosy with what trades we take. We don't want to just take every single thing that comes along, because if we do that, that exposes you to the statistical truth of it all, right? Because if you take trades if and when and whenever, at every one of those random points, the chances of a trade actually going in your favor kind of evens out, becomes a coin flip sometimes. And because we pay a price to actually take part in the market, that doesn't lead to profitability, right? So because you get picky, or you allow yourself to be pickier, then what happens is you are going to spend a bit more time thinking about the trade. So, I'll give you an example. this is a trade that I probably would have already gone into before because it looks like the kind of trade that I want to be in. But let me just have a look at it from a clearer perspective. And this is the other thing about being in front of everybody as well. It adds a complication because now it amplifies the whole thing about being right and wrong. Now, a very significant part of trading, and this may be the downside of doing this in front of an audience or anybody watching. I want to talk about audience, but just anybody watching, is that I may be extra worried about making mistakes. As in, like, when I make this mistake, it'll be a video. And the rule for myself is that all trades are going to happen when they're live. But what I'm looking at right now seems to be pretty good. I mean, if I'm talking about being a bit kiasu about things, by the way, if you're not from Singapore, Malaysia, kiasu is afraid of losing. So it's a local term. So what I'm checking for right now is one of the rules that I have for myself. How much risk am I willing to take? I don't want to take too much risk with every trade. And I want to make sure that when I take a trade, I'm doing it with the potential of making some money. So this first level here looks like it's possible, but this is actually the stretch level. That's probably not going to get to that. But I think somewhere around here looks like something that we can do. And that looks pretty good. So we're going to wait and see how this goes. So far, this looks possibly like it might be an entry for a sell. And the temptation always is to try to be early on it so that we can be right. And I'm going to try to avoid doing that, right? So the thrill is for me right now to enter early and be right on this. Now, to be fair, this is what the market is sort of telling me at this point. It's giving me one layer here where it says there's a bit of a high going on here. I'm going to try and make these lines make some sort of sense for you. So that's one high there, and then there's a lower high here, and this is based on the 5-minute chart. So in context, we have what is basically a continuing trend, lower highs, a lower high, and then what it looks like is an even lower high. The high is meaning the top of a wave. So there seems to be a good reason to be in this trade. The only thing that is kind of slowing me down in terms of wanting to get into this trade is the way this price has tried to go down but has come back up again. So to be fair, it's gone down, it's pushed hard, but it's been pushed back up again. So it's not the greatest of trades, but it's looking to me pretty reasonable. Someone's saying, don't do it out there. You're probably right. I'm just going to wait and make sure that there is a proper reason to get into this trade. Right now, it looks like there is no reason to get into the trade. And what I mean by the reason is that we want to get in only when it is in the direction of the trade we want to, and the most recent candle is going to show you that it's moving that way as well. We're going to go down to the 1-minute chart to see what the price action at the local level is and try and interpret the story. So far what's been happening is the price has been coming down. It's pushed up, tried to push up, but it's been held on this line, which is pretty good. Technically, this is a lower low, so that's another good reason to look at it as a possible thing. This series of peaks seem to be going in a downward direction. So I am pretty primed to look for a sell here. I just want to see some kind of a signal that says, yep, this is good to go. And what that should be is something like an engulfing bear candle at this stage, because we're looking for a sell, right? So an engulfing bear candle is one where the candle moves down and and so quickly as well that it far exceeds the previous candle, right? So if there's a green candle before that, the bear candle is going to be so much bigger than the previous one, so it engulfs the entire candle. And by the way, for those of you who've never done trading before or looking for it for the first time, yep, trading actually, it's the slowest thing, right? It is. If you notice the music that I chose at the start of it as well, at the start of this video, and the music I'm going to be using for the video actually has been about going slow and taking things slow, because that is actually what we need to do. We're looking at taking things slow. So there's something here, and again, I'm just going to confess that in my previous way of trading, I would have taken a bet here. I would have done the sell over here, and I'm not going to, because the rules are it needs to show me an entry. And the entry for me is something that tells me that it's kept the structure from before. See, this is so tempting for me. It's coming right up to the price from before, and it seems like a really good deal if I take a small trade here with very small risk, but I am going to stop myself from doing it. I don't know how I'm going to do this for 100 days. This is just day one, right? And the challenge is, yeah, I think it's proving itself by changing the behavior. I hope this is something that can continue as well. So back to this idea, first of all, of getting an entry. So this is looking kind of promising. We'll see where this thing ends. It may close with a strong sell signal. What this is telling me right now is there's been a rejection of the attempt to go up higher, and this is on the 1 minute chart. On the 5 minute chart, it's looking promising as well. There's no real movement, but there's no success beyond this price up there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'll be looking to do a bit of a sell here, because all of this seems to be telling me that's going down, going down, going down. It hasn't really pushed down. This part here is of a little concern because it hasn't really decisively pushed down. It has this engulfing candle here, which is something that's sort of like there's a little level that I think if you look out for it, you can see this, right? So this is where there's been an engulfing green candle here, an engulfing green candle here. So this tells me that there's some kind of a force in the market there that wants to buy it up from that place. So that's a level that needs to be broken. And if the price goes down now and holds below this price, and on the 5 minute chart as well, which looks good, then we have a potential for a good buy. So that to me is a buy. It's sell, sorry, not a buy. So that's a sell. And the stop loss is going to be here. That's slightly less than 2% risk. So the management rules that I put down for myself for this trading channel is that I shall not risk any more than 5% on a trade Let me put this up to 300 points up here, which is going to be a bit more safe. Okay, so that's about 257 points. So yeah, the rules for the trade are no more than 5% risk, and for a chance to make some money, we're gonna go down to the next level, right? Which is down to here, and that's about 233 points as well. So these numbers are going to be really small at the start, and I'm going to be fighting to not to get bored out of my mind, because the reality is compounding is a challenging thing to kind of work on. Oh, hi, Faith. Gather Faith. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, hi, Alvin. Okay, good, cool. Thanks very much for chiming in. Alvin's joined us on the chat on YouTube, mentioning that's on the top resistance trend line right now. Yep. So Alvin, there's all kinds of things here. There is resistance lines, which I've kind of put in here. You can see that yellow line as well, and it's beginning to push down from there. And this is the challenging thing about trading. You always have to kind of take the chance as it's going along. Right now, because I am at $2 of risk, $3, well, 250 of risk. It's still within the 5% risk that I had told myself I would adhere to. I am actually tempted, if this behaves appropriately, I'm tempted to add on a trade, only because this is becoming a bit of a discounted trade within the plan that I had earlier, right? Because there's always going to be the pushing back and pulling, push and pull of the market, right? It's going to come up, it's going to go down. It has broken down past this particular line here, which I think is a great sign, and I think it might even be something that I can do to add to the trade. Now, let's see if it's holding. We'll give it some time. There is this idea in trading as well, which I haven't fully explored, but the idea is put your entries where you would actually have your stop loss, because there's a tendency for markets to pull all the way back as they retest. So this is a little bit of a situation where it might do that. It might come all the way back here and do a retest, because this level is quite a significant level. The price is moving out. It's not fully breaking out. Ugh. Now, see, at this point, it doesn't seem like very much. And this is the thing about trading when you're playing right at the bottom of the numbers, right? Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is a move where I've just taken a sell here, and the idea is that trade only has about $1 risk. $1 risk, and then I'm going to move that a little bit so that we have 260. So basically about $4 risk there, and we've been killed. Okay, so $4 risk is not paid off. So we're down already 4%. Now this is set a bit of a dink in the plan, I guess. Let's have a look at what's going on here. It's still pushing up and down, so yeah. So what seems to be forming up now is a bit more of a pushback. So that whole thing that I said I should have been worried about, I should have been worried about. So with trading, what we're doing is we're tracking. Right? We're trying to see what the market is doing and then position ourselves to take advantage of the movement in the market. So right now what happened was it began to show signs of pushing down, but then it pushed back the other way. And because we're still looking at the sells, we're not going to buy into this market, even though there's going to be, I mean, like in this case, there's some movement up here, but we're not going to take the bait in terms of going into buying the market. You can see that this price came up here and it got up against this area here. Let's see whether it's keeping the level at all. You can see that that level is kind of held. We're looking at things like the actual physical the body of the candle, right? So I'm going to put in a yeah, I'm going to wait for one more because it's the 1 minute. I have to remind myself this is the 1 minute chart. I'm looking for one more lower high and against this line, so it's going to be a nice place to push off from because there was a previous high there and it's part of the downward trend. And if it holds, has a potential to go down as well. So it has a nice bit of room there for where it could go. So that's why it's an appealing scenario. And again, this would be previously a place the royal we would go in because this is the first of the lows or the first of the highs, which is slightly lower than this end here. So that's kind of a positive. But because we're looking for confirmation, we're going to have to look for a second lower high to want to enter because we want to make sure that this is confirmed. Now, the frustrating thing about this is it's possible that you're going to end up with something like this. Let me see if I can throw on the pencil. Ooh, let's see if that works. Yep. So right now we're looking at this, right? This is the, is that working? Yeah, okay. So that's the high. We got a little high going on there, right? And this is where we go like that. That's a high. And we're looking for the push down and a low high, right? Somewhere around maybe like this, and then we want to go in there. Now, what's frustrating, as I was saying before, is that it can sometimes be that this thing just pushes down all the way like that, and you lose your chance to do it. But that's just the way it is. We're working at trying to reduce risk, right? And so when you reduce risk, first of all, it's the actual amount of risk you're going to put on the line. And secondly, it's also the probability. You want to go with the probability of being able to succeed with the trade, right? So while it would have been perfectly fine to get in at this point, I realize that there's been no cursor on screen as well while I've been talking about all these things. So sorry about that. So let's just go to here, right? So while it would be fine to just try and take a trade here because of all the rules that seem to be in place for it, it would be a higher risk because there's no confirmation that I'm building up against it. So what I'm looking for now is a confirmation, a higher or a lower high, right? And so what does a lower high look like? Okay, try and put that in there. So a lower high would be something like this. Maybe it comes back up again this way. and then it goes back down again. So this would be the lower high, right? And that would be the lower high. Okay. Now, will it happen? We don't know. This could be frustrating for everybody. Mostly myself, really, because it's just me. Now, the thing about money management also is this, that it is actually the key to how you will grow an account exponentially. It's also the way you destroy an account very quickly. If you don't work on the money management well enough, you're going to have those issues. So the other principle that we work on is the idea of always checking the higher time frame. So everything's still in place, yes. In terms of what's happened in the market recently, this is the previous high. So let me put this here. In the market recently, this was the previous high in the hour chart, and now this is the most recent high again, and that's a lower high. So that's another confirmation for the trend. That's using the 1 hour chart. 30 minutes also looking good. 15 minutes also looking good. The sell's looking good, folks, unfortunately, but we got bumped. That's the frustration of this, right? So that sign that would have been perfect looks like we have missed it. And this is the thing that I'm going to have to kind of work on as well, which is seeing something go away from me, knowing that what's going to happen is the market, first of all, is going to push away, then it's going to come back. Well, not always, but has a high tendency to do that. So there's a push. And this is what's happening generally in most markets, most times. There is a group called the market makers. These are people who actually have control of what's going on in the market. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the price to go in the way that they want to, right? So if you think about this, if you rule the world, if you have the chance to move a market, what are the things that you would try to do? Well, let's say you were interested in selling this market, or you want to make this market go down. What you would try and do is make sure that the market structure is going to be in place. There'll be certain fake outs to make sure that people come into the market to provide you with liquidity, right? So because what you're doing is, in order to sell the market, you actually have to have people, you actually have to have buyers coming into the market as well. And so when you set up things, when you set up, this is the idea. If you could set it up, this is what you would do as a market maker, right? You would want to set up the higher high like that so that the market seems to be going in that direction. And then what that does is buyers come in so that you can then sell the market down, right? That's step one. Now, step two now is going to be this, where the market's pushing down like that, right? And people are joining you on the sale. So there's going to be sellers coming in here. Now, the same seller is going to be looking at trying to, first of all, because of all this movement, they're already in profit, but they might want to load up again on their position some more. And so what is very usual in the market is this market is going to be, there's going to be profit taken, and this market's going to be pushed up again, right? And because these sellers still want to sell, they're going to be watchful that they don't push too hard, and make sure that they bring the price up maybe to a level that's below the previous one before it gets sold again, right? And what happens in this space here is a whole bunch of traders get trapped. Traders who are enthusiastically getting involved in the sell, especially from this level here down. There's a lot of traders who are going to get caught in that because they sell and want to follow that trend. and then they're going to get trapped in what is probably going to be a pullback right now. Now, it's not a guaranteed thing, but just time and again, it tends to happen. So I'm just going to leave the drawings up on screen for a while. I'm not sure if there's a way for me to make it less less prevalent there, but anyway, for me at this point, there is no trade to be had. You might be wondering why there's no trade to be had, as in, like, I can see the price is going down. I can see it's moving there, and you might go like, so why am I not selling this right now, right? And again, just a reminder, this is not me trying to advise you. This is me reflecting to myself so that I can always go through this process. I'm doing this so that I am going to be more disciplined with the way I do things. One of the things that I have to fight a lot is actually this feeling of wanting to be right. Right? There's this thing about wanting to be right. And right now, for instance, just having told you that this market is going to pull back, it's going to push up like that. Part of being right is just saying that, this is what's going to happen, and then it happens, and you go like, there you go, I was right. And the other part in trading is, and which is very dangerous, is then to try to put money on it, right? The problem with that is, again, about risk, right? So while it is probable that if I was going to trade aggressively, some people might say, well, foolishly, dangerously, if you like, I would put my money where my mouth is and take a buy at this point. And as you can see, what I mentioned before is kind of happening. The problem is I don't know where the peak of this thing is going to be. I don't know where the people who are, in charge of this market, the market makers, when they're going to put the kibosh, if you like, on the buy. So it could be that they will push it all the way back to where I had placed it previously, or they might start working on this thing, this turn or downturn a bit earlier. They might even turn down, do a sell from a lower price. So that's something that we can't really tell. We don't know. So let's have a look at that. See if we can find out more. And just to also, again, remind myself, I'm in a 1 minute chart. So I'm looking at things really myopically at this stage. What I do need to do is to keep coming up for air to make sure that I know where I am in space. There are a few things that are going through my mind right now, and some of it's to do with trying to fix the loss. So I'm going to speak it out, right? So having lost $4 of an account, 4% of the account, which, at this stage doesn't seem like a whole bunch. I have to think about what it's going to feel like when I'm at $100,000, right? And I've lost $4,000 in just a matter of minutes, right? And how that feels as well. Because right now the temptation is to do a trade, and not just do a trade that's based on the usual risk-reward ratio, but actually to do one that is on a higher amount of risk. And it kind of makes sense, when you don't think too deeply about it. You go like, well, what I could do now is take a $5 bet and try to make 10, and then I'd be whole again, and I would be not only whole again, I'd be in profit. And that really seems like a good idea. It makes complete sense, and there's a good chance that somebody else watching this goes, well, why aren't you just doing that? And the reason is that's because that's taking on more risk than you should be taking on, simply because the market, the market can just push against you. So whatever you've planned, as you saw earlier, right? I thought that this was going to be a great trade, and then it just didn't work out for me, right? This trade that I looked at before was supposed to be a good trade, did not work out too well. It pushed back and it took out my stops. Some would have argued that if I put my stops further back, I could still be in this trade and I wouldn't have to, be in a loss. I would have already taken some profit here, and that's absolutely true as well. So yeah, it's about managing the risk so that when you're wrong, you're not wrong to the point you can't come back from being down, right? So down 4% on an account means you have the capability, if you are presented with some really good opportunities, to take advantage of that opportunity and make a huge gain on the way back. So that's the thing about this. And but if you are to take such a big risk that you don't have the ability anymore to even come back, that's where you approach something that they can talk about in trading called ruin, right? And ruin it's not zero, right? It's not the level where you can't do anything at all. It's just that you get to a point where it is kind of meaningless to trade. What do I mean by that? Well, just imagine where we're in the situation right now, right? We've just taken a signal, tried to trade. By the way, this is looking more convincing now for a little bit of a buy because of the double bottom that has just shown up on this here, and this is something that is going to be. Hang on a moment. There's a visit to the door. Okay, you know what? It's okay. It's live. We'll be back. Yes. Hi. Okay. So well, that's the rule. This isn't about creating a great show. It's about doing it's about being live and accountable. So okay. So this is so tempting. So this is a pretty strong signal usually. It's called a double bottom, plus there's a nice strong push to the upside, right? So there's going to be some movement here. And again, all this is still within the story that I told you earlier about what's going to happen, right? This market's going to push up and probably not push all the way through, but probably get to a point where it's going to come back down again, right? But in the process of this right now is going to be this buy. And why I am not able to do something about that right now is because of the rules that I've given myself. And these are the rules that I am trying to be accountable with that. Yeah. So coming out for a look is always a good thing, right? So I'm on M15, having a look here. And this is what we call a situation where there's been there's a previous level, and this is the level where the market has moved before, and there's a factor here. So here's the thing about trends, right? So we talk about trends and having to be with the trend. Now, on the big trend, H4 and H1, there certainly is a downtrend that's going on. But what is emerging here is on the M30 is that there's a little bit of an uptrend, right? Here's happening, that string size there as well. And then on the M15, it's come down. There's a previous set of levels as well. It's rising, rising, rising. So there's a little bit of an uptrend. So and trends can happen simultaneously. It's not just going to be only an uptrend, only a downtrend. You're gonna see trends being counter to each other, and you can actually see the trends kind of pushing back and forth, right? So on this one, what's interesting is, well, there was a push down, and at the same time, right now, there's a push up, right? Remember, we see that this level here, this is the low that set of candles created, and then there's a higher low here, and then there was a high here, and then this level seems to be supporting as well. So I have Alvin on chat saying that have they entered, and it seems to be ranging. It's possible right now that I can do an actual. So let's see what's happening here, right? So we have the double bottom, right? And if this closes up here based on the M15, right? So M15, higher, higher, a little bit of a higher here, and then we'll see what the levels happen, what happens with the levels here. But this is holding on this level here, right? And there's previously been this double bottom as well and a push. Now the question is whether this is going to hold. Technically, this is held. This is a double bottom. I can count it as one low. This is a possible low. If it holds and it creates a higher high, then we might be able to trade this. But we'll see what happens now, because this price has to hold. If it's going to hold, then we possibly have a buy. And in terms of M15 and M30, even M30, there is enough of a story to say that this could work, right? But I've also got to be picky. That's the other part about this. I don't want to just chase everything that is looking like an opportunity. So this, to me right now, isn't as clear anymore, right? So what have we got here? We have this push down. We have this level where it came up, where there seems to be a push up. But we've had a strong push down here with an engulfing and another engulfing, right? So this whole thing is down, down, engulfing, engulfing. I'm going to take a small sell. And this is going to be up to this level only, because it seems to be, yeah, I'm just going to take a small little risk like that and see what happens here. Because there's not enough of a push, right? It's pushed up here, but it hasn't really kept going. It seems to not have the conviction that it should have to make it all the way. This is the previous level that I think that it can reach quite comfortably. And so that's going to be the trade. Again, temptation is to try to layer it on and to add another trade on top of that. It's actually possible, but that's just going to be that's going to take my risk for the day so far to a higher level. Here's a chance to break even. Let's try and focus maybe on that. So yeah, the challenge is to look at stories and congruence, right? So there is the overall big downtrend. H1 very clear. M30, we can see something is happening. There's a bit of a pushback, right? And if I'm looking at this right now, again, right, this target that I've set may be a little bit outside of the realm of possibilities, right? On the M15, this price looks like a bit of a stretch. On the M5, it looks like it's viable. I tend to look at where the open space is in terms of where the price has been before. So if it breaks below this level where there's been some, some action, there's a bit of open space before it hits this next level. So I I think we're going to be able to do this. And what we'll be doing is what I'll be doing. I keep saying we. What I'm going to be doing is watching to see how this price action works, whether it makes it past this level. You can see all the levels are related. Everything has an echo in the market. And yep, I know I put this very close, but I think it's a pretty good. It's a good place to put it, right? Because the market's supposed to go up there. It's supposed to have gone up there. Really hasn't pushed that hard. And what I'm doing is I'm taking a bet in the opposite direction, saying that it's going to go down here. And if I'm wrong, I don't want to be wrong by much, because it doesn't take much to be wrong. The other thing about this, the problem with this is also that gold is a bit twitchy. And so you can see like what happened here. And this is the trade. This is the part that took us out of the sell previously. Gold pushes up and then it does its thing. So maybe I should give myself a bit more room on this. Yeah. I could layer, couldn't I? But I have to ask myself, if I do that, am I breaking some rules here? This is also having to, for me to come, like along the way, I have to come to terms with what's going on, right? So the signal's building up, right? And if that had continued to climb with one more green candle here, that would have confirmed this rising lows story. But what I'm seeing right now is a little bit of a push back down as well. So we could be in good company right now, as this market seems to be pushing down. It's not happy, by the way. It's going up and down like this. This is not a decisive situation at all. Oof. We're not in the clear. We're not in the clear at all. In fact, what I should do, I think, is clear this. Yeah. Hello. Hi. I think, do I have my soup still from yesterday? I think I do. Yeah. I'll have that. Thank you. No, I don't want to go off diet. Okay. So we're not in the clear. As in, like, the sell isn't looking as healthy, which is something to be concerned about. But let's see. It's always about the forces that are sort of at play together, right? So there is the overall sell story. This is the big waves in the market. So the big waves in the market are pushing down. This is the daily chart. It's just pushed up, and it wants to get some. Okay, the markets work in waves, right? So they're gonna push up, and there's gonna be a back off again as it rebuilds. So if you go down to the beach, you can see a wave at the seafront. You can see exactly how it works. A wave pushes forward, but it doesn't keep going like a wall of water. It actually, unless of course it's a tsunami, which happens from time to time in the market. But what is more likely is that there's an energy that's pushing forward, and therefore the market will move in waves, right? So that's why it can be pushing in a direction, but you can notice its direction, but you can also go, okay, but how do I position myself for the trade? So in this case, I am actually seeing the possibility that this might compress. And what is compression is the price sort of like stays within a very small range without breaking out. It might do that. Currently, it looks like it's trying to break out. If it breaks out, and it does so with some level of conviction, I may be able to add to this position, right? Because, ugh, come on, let's see how you do. Yeah, it's moved a bit, so I don't think I want to do that anymore. But yeah, it just there's this is just a little thing here about here. This is a previous high, and then now the lower high. This is all in the small structure, just about M1. You can see that happening, right? So you have a bigger story where there is a downward trend, and then you have the small action like this. This could be a nice place to go in. I'll be honest, I just got a bit chicken shit on that. And once it moves, it's not as worthwhile a trade anymore. As in, like, where it would have been nice to get in, it's just here. And after it's gone, when you chase the trade, what happens is you're changing the mathematical relationship of your trade versus the profit target, right? So again, you're changing risk along the way. You want to be taking trades where for every dollar that you risk, you're going to be making maybe a dollar or more, and you know, hopefully more. Actually, that's the general idea. Like in this particular trade, the risk is it's about $1.50 to make 5, right? And that's the potential of the trade based on where the price was previously as well. So I should make that a bit clearer by going into a different mode. Let's see, you can see this. Okay, so on the 5-minute charts, right? You can see where I put the price target. This is the price target. Hang on, price target's here. And that's based on the price movement from before coming down to this area here like that. So that's why it's a price target. And based on that, the chances or the what we think is a likely area where the price will go to, it's going to give us a return of about 3 times what the risk is. So that's a good ratio. And the idea is it's always about repeating and compounding, right? So if you repeat, if you compound, that building of a little bit on top of a little bit on top of a little bit is going to create what hopefully is a large outcome. By the way, this is to put this in context as well. The idea of the trading here is also to do it so that I have the rest of my life to lead, and I want to reduce the amount of time I actually spend trading. So to have office hours to sort of say this is the end of the session. And it so happens today I have a recording to do in about half an hour. So there's about half an hour left of this process, right? I have my Yoda on the chat already. It says follow the plan, Joe. Yes. Aaron's asking the question. Have you ever done 100 to 1 million before? How long did it take? No, Aaron, it hasn't been done. I have taken an account from $600 to $44,000, and it took a few days. It just really was very, very quick. It's much quicker than what we're looking at right now. But I also brought it back down again, And that was because of the psychology involved, right? As in, when you are when you're trading at the high numbers, and if you are not following your plan and not keeping the numbers as you should be keeping them, what ends up happening is you take larger risks than you should, right? Because you're trying to hold on to stuff. You're trying to win back what you've lost. So when I was at $44,000 and made that first $4,000 loss, that was painful. That was something that I was trying to immediately fix. Um, and it wasn't like as I was fixing it, I thought I'm taking big risks. I was just feeling that, okay, well, I've done this. I've been able to do it up to there. So, just winning it back is not going to be a huge problem, right? So because that happened, I basically tried to win it back, and again by increasing the risk as I went along. So the same trade that risked $4,000, if you do the next one again and again, and you don't reduce it as it goes along as you lose, you're actually increasing your proportion of account that's being risked, and that's something that you have to be very careful about, right? So right now, the proportion of account that is being risked is very small. It is, I would say, easily less than 2%, which is good, with a chance to win back, more than 5%. Now, it adds up, right? But it adds up really small. And what you do in your small account, if you let's put it this way, it's very easy to take large risks on a small account because it doesn't really count that much, right? So right now, if you're watching this, you're going like, well, what I could do is I could say I have $100, right? And I can increase this and double up, triple up, quadruple up, maybe even do it full tilt, right? Um, it's possible that in these few minutes that we're on, that I could turn this $100 into $200. It's really quite easy because of the amount of leverage that I get from this particular broker, right? I can take a position of up to 0.15, 0.17 actually of a lot. And if the price moves exactly the way I want it to, I would make a lot of money really quickly, right? But the risk at that time, while I'm doing that, is larger than most people kind of realize. Now, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because if you think about this, what's $100? Not that much in the scheme of things, in the grand scheme of things, in the work that I do as a coach, a presenter, MC, all that kind of stuff. I make that kind of money, you know, in some of the jobs that I do in 10 minutes, right? So if I'm not careful, what I'm going to do is go like, yeah, okay, so it's not worth that much, so why not put more down? Because you could make more out of it. Um, but it's the implication of doing that over and over again. So I need to make sure that I build this muscle now when the numbers are small so that I can get to the big numbers. And it's something that I've always known and I've been really impatient about. I want to do it quick because at some level, I know I can, right? The challenge with trading is that it is not about the single trade, which is what gets most people, right? In the single trade, in this one moment, why am I not trying to make $100 in one move? I can literally put down using the 90 over dollars in leverage that I have, in margin that I have right now. I can literally take a position which can double this in just a matter of minutes, right? There's a way of doing it, and it's not tricky or whatever it is, because of the level of the leverage and margin that I have. I can literally take about almost 0.3 lots of gold, and that's what we're doing. We're trading gold. If you notice, I'm actually trading 0.01 lots, right? Which is very, very small compared to what I could buy or sell if I'm fully leveraging it. But that's not the point of what we're doing. The point of what we're doing is to try to compound the impact of what we do over time, 5% over 5% over 5% over 5%, with occasional losses of 2%, 2%. That compounds and it amplifies. When I do a trade that is, let's say if I do a 0.25 or 0.3 lots trade at this point when I have a $100 account, what I'm doing is I'm taking a 90 to maybe 100%. It's 100% risk that I take. Possible that I can win, but it's 100% risk. So what happens when I lose? I just can't continue the game. I'm out of it. I'm based on the ideas in trading. I'm ruined. Now, it's not a good habit to take, right? It's not a good habit to kind of have even in your deep recesses, because there's going to come a point in this trading journey where I know I'm going to be faced with $100,000 and a position that perhaps has uncomfortably, lost me $5,000, and I'm going to want to make it back, perhaps in one trade, perhaps faster than that, right? And it should be possible. That's actually not too bad. The challenge is when it kind of piles up. If I have one loss at 5,000, another loss at 5,000, and maybe a third loss at 5,000, I would know how to position a trade so that I could make 20,000 back to cover the losses of 15, right? But that would be actually increasing the amount of risks. So in the trying to win that larger amount in one, I might expose myself to even more risk. Now, the temptation then would be like, well, it's not going to be a huge problem because, you probably could make back the 15 or 20 with a risk of only $7,000 or $8,000, right? And that sort of makes sense until you take a step back, quick zoom out if you like, and go like, okay, hang on, what's happened is I've lost 5, and now I'm betting 7. That's $23,000 on a $100,000 account because I'm feeling bad about stuff. And if it doesn't turn out well, I'm down 23. That's huge. And it seems harmless enough, right? And it's going to seem like, okay, but you made it from $100. Yeah, but it's all the time and all the effort that went into it. Okay. So right now the market's being a little slow, not moving around too well. Is it going to go anywhere? Okay, so this is the other thing that I'm also going to apply, which is going to be about taking the win as it comes, right? If for instance things slow down because they just come to a natural point of indecision in the market, right? So we want to move where the market is free to move. We want to be in a place where the market's comfortable to go to the next thing. But if the market is unable to do so, it gets to a point where it is just a bit stuck. The way I would look at it is just position yourself or move your stop so that you can be break even on this, or just take the money that's on the table right now and be done with it. Now, again, if I do this right now, I will be down total for the day. I will be down about less than 2%. And for a trading day, down less than 2% is actually a pretty good day if you have done the right things. I will review all this, and I don't know whether I would have done the right things That's the honest truth. But let's see what happens. I have a 15, 20 minutes more before the next thing is supposed to come, and hopefully, um, we'll see what happens. Okay, hopefully. Now, I'll just be upfront about this. I am tempted to see what's going to happen with this after this point, right? There is the possibility that this is going to push and really push hard, right? Because of the history and the price. So on the M15s, for instance, you can see it's not been accepted. It's been rejected from that low. On the M5, you can see that it's pushed down a little bit more convincingly in the past, right? But it got rejected as well with this big candle. And in terms of structure, I'm sorry, I'm pointing at things without you seeing what I'm talking about. You can see on the M5, you can see there's a little bit of that, right? It's come down low as well. Okay, so there is a bit of structure. If I can get out of the way, let me see it again. Okay, this is gonna get out of the way. Okay. Structure-wise, you can see that the levels have actually gone like this. It's gone up and then down and then up, lower, low. And is it going to be going down this way? Question mark. And do I want to try and play for it? Let me see. It's almost gonna mature now. It's gonna get me to 5%. This is the conundrum, right? It's gonna be, I'm going to make the trade that I set up is gonna win. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna move it down to that level where it has pushed before, and I will see what happens to the price. So I'm gonna watch the price as it gets to this level here and see how it behaves. It's probably gonna bounce off that very tantalizingly. It'll come down and just bounce off. So the note to self is, yes, you would have made the money here and you would have been in profit already. But there's also this thing about where this thing could go. Now, this is the irritating thing about this, right? Trades, again, like I said, they'll go in waves. At this point, the price has come down. It's going to pull back up again. I know somebody out there is already saying, why did you just take it? And I go like, okay, well, what I'm curious about is to see the possibility of this. This could be a bit more. It could also be the end of the road for this this push down. Okay, in the grand scheme of things, it should be a push down, but we don't know for sure. So I'm just going to try to finish this session, hopefully in a few minutes, with some good news. The other thing that I'm noticing in myself as well, I'm already trying to plan the next one. I'm actually trying to figure another way to get in on a trade somewhere, and that is something that I shouldn't be doing, right? Because chances are there are no real setups, right? And I'm also restricting myself to trading one market. So because of that, that's going to be how I will approach this. It's going to stay on this one market. And I think shortly, there may be an opportunity to talk about the feeling one gets when the price gets to your target, which is going to be just about here, the price getting down there that you're going to target, and the feeling you get when it hits the target and then goes all the way down. So maybe we'll have time to talk about that next time around. But let's see. I'm hoping that this is going to just resolve nicely. See, there's a temptation, right? Because it's showing such promise. It's moving so fast. There's a nice lot of energy to this. And so there's a momentum to the action. At this point, I think it'd be fair enough to bring my stop back in like this, so that now the worst that can ever happen in this particular situation, if I leave, if I happen to have a power failure or whatever it is, there's going to be a very small profit or hardly any loss if the market now moves against me. So I have a sell that's in place, and I'm trying to grow the account. The goal, by the way, so let me just let me get to this one here. This is the grand plan, right? Um, it's a compounding account, and the account is supposed to grow by a little bit every day. The plan that I had to make this plan work is that I have to do about 10% gains every day. And that's looking like it's going to be a bit of a challenge here. So if it works out well, I will have that happen. But until then, we'll see. And what I'm going to try to do is also kind of like publish the result of the day's trading and what happened, and keep the records and all that kind of stuff. So the thing about something like what we just did earlier, right? If we talk about the history of the trade as well, you would have noticed that I took my first sell. Is it here? Hello, hello. Okay, sorry. Let's put you on. I did my first sell somewhere around here. That was where I took the sell, and then I got stopped out, right? What's kind of really frustrating about that is, in retrospect, when you review, you can see this beautiful signal here that would have told me when to get in on that trade. Partly because it has that nice rejection wick as well. That shape is so nice, and that would have been perfect to get in there. But I'm okay to give myself some grace and forgive myself for not waiting for that signal, because where I had taken the action was actually a bit further back, which is where that. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. This place here where there was the engulfing engulfing bear candle. That was the one that went down, and that gave me pause for cause, right? That was the big sign. And then following that, there was a price action that didn't push up above that line, and so I thought, okay, safe to get in there. But well, evidently I was wrong, so there you go. Anyway, and here we are at the conundrum. This is the part that's always about trying to figure out getting out of a trade, right? Because the trade was pushing on. It actually pushed past that level that we looked at there for the 5% gain on the trade, and then now it's back to a 3% gain. And it should feel fine to take a 3% gain if it works, but it's one of those things, right? Your brain is always going to be comparing to the previous one. So right now, out of a single trade, making 3%, having risk only 2%, it's still not too bad to get out. But at the same time, there is some pretty good potential here. The energy is still pushing down. There is this big engulfing bear candle, and where the following green candle hasn't really been able to get past it. And it looks like it's going to close. Let's see how it looks inside in detail. This is a U shape. I don't like U shapes. So this is one of those situations that could go anywhere, right? Markets tend to go with momentum, right? And so at a pretty micro level, the momentum is with the buyers at a micro level here. The last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, the buyers have been doing okay. And just prior to that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there was a 5 minutes where the sellers were doing it. But overall, there was a bit more of a drop as well. Now, the thing is, right now is what happens at this particular point, where the price it's going into this space where if you look to the left, you can see that there's been some indecision about price, right? It's sort of been going up and down. It's not indecision. It's basically been a fight about the price. Let's see if I can hang on to this. I think worst case scenario, I will break even on this trade, but let's see where this goes. This is pushing and may push hard. And if it does, I think this will be the last trade of this session. But yeah, so that's the emotional journey that goes up that I'm gonna have to get better at doing, which is it's a thing. Do I take what's on the table, even though it's not where the target of the trade was initially, or do I just stop? Right now, one of the things that is a challenge here is even if I stay in this situation right now, right? The most likely outcome, if it does go down, is that, and this is the most likely, right? It's still possible it can go down to this level, where the stop loss currently is, right? But what is most likely is if it goes down, it will go down only to this level. That's the more likely outcome. And so what I really need to be doing is positioning myself for the more likely outcome. It's not going to be as grand as making that level there where it is it's going to be 10 12 15% return, which is kind of nice for the day. But we'll see. Anyway, got about 7 minutes to go before I have to attend to a client. I produce webinars as well, so we're doing some prep work for a show that's coming up on Thursday. Well, let's see what happens here. So if the price behaves, by the way, that's completely wrong. The price doesn't behave. The price just does what it does. It doesn't have any kind of agency, right? It's the price is the result of everybody else acting on it. So that's looking potentially like things might be looking good. Let's see if that holds. If it holds, it is still within the story. The story is a high, a lower high, a lower high. So that's a good trend that, if it continues, will support the sell story. If it gets broken, I guess the story's over, and then we have to lick our wounds and move on. And I know this is just supposed to be an accountability thing, but I tend to want to keep talking. I don't have to, really, but I will. There is also this other tendency, which I am well aware of, and that is where we want to just sometimes just get back to where we started, just to heal ourselves, right? So I was just noticing the price getting to where it was going to be break even for the day, get back to $100, and I really felt a strong urge to act on it. And actually, that's it's not unusual in the market, because if you look at how the prices tend to work in the market, it always is about coming back to a price where people are at break even or make back some money and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very natural thing that happens in the market. The challenge is to not respond to it. The challenge is to look at the facts and say and stay resolute, right? So at this point, the facts of the matter are, and let's see if I can present them in a good manner. The facts of the matter are we have a series of lows that are getting lower in general. This is still the case, right? So this is where this has happened, and this currently is the price action. It has not been able to break the series of down. It hasn't been able to break the downtrend. So the downtrend is technically still in. So the evidence is still in for that, right? So based on that, I'm staying on this trade right now because it stands to reason that it will continue or hold that unless it breaks the trend. So if it breaks the trend, I'm wrong, and at this point, the way the stop loss has been set, it's going to be break even. So I will not pay a price, as it were, for being wrong. I will just not make a profit. That's all if I'm wrong, which is not a bad deal. And I've got to walk away with those thinking, yeah, that was good. So I will review today and think about whether or not I had some good trades. And the challenge for me is not just to have winning trades. Winning trades seem like the only objective. But what you want to have actually is good trades. And how that differs is this. You can actually have a bad trade where you win. You can take a pure gamble, complete arse luck, whatever it is, right? You can do that and succeed, but it will not be a good trade. And that's an important thing to do, because what you want to do is to put as many good trades together as possible so that you can have the compounding effect of the outcomes of good trades, which are going to be higher gains, lower losses, and that's how you get compounding. So enough for myself today. I think what I'll do is I'm going to come back again a little bit later today if the opportunity presents itself to get a bit more live trading going. And if not, then we will see you tomorrow. And I'll try to give you an update on what happened with the trades today. So worst case scenario is I think we would have lost 4% today. And currently, as it stands with this one trade, the best case scenario, at this current point, it'll be a 3% gain on the account. So, which is again, something to be usually proud of, but it's not exactly what I'm hoping to do. It sets the plan back just a bit because it's supposed to be a 10% gain. You know, and the irony of it all actually is that with that first trade, right, it would have been completely a great trade to start things off with. It would have been a little bit on the reckless side, trying to push a bit, and we got a bit unlucky with the pushback, right? That little place where that price came back like that and took us out. That was a little bit of bad luck vis-a-vis the market action. You can't really blame. You can't blame luck. Somebody took some action and you were just wrongly positioned. Okay. So that is it. And that is the end of today's session, at least the end of this session right now for today. There might be a follow-up later today. As usual, I guess as they say, like and subscribe. You'll be notified if this channel comes live again. All trades will be live. There will be nothing that will be done in the shadows. No trades will happen while you're not watching, and that is for my benefit. I want to make sure that I'm accountable as I make these decisions. So yeah, that's where it is. Trade's looking quite good, and thanks for keeping me company on my journey as we go from 100 to 1 million in 100 trading days.